What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we are here for a brand new Madden 25 realistic rebuild of the Seattle Seahawks. I was very interested looking through the comments on our last realistic rebuild of the LA Rams. Go check that out if you missed it. Seahawks got a lot of momentum in that one. I don't know if there was just a lot of NFC West rivalry brewing. I've seen Cincinnati, the Bengals are on the list. Saw a lot of Carolina Panthers, but I am leaning towards our next 20-year rebuild being a Panthers one. So let's see what's going on with Seattle. I literally had someone email me and said they'd give me $20 if I rebuilt the Seahawks. Now, if you're watching this, you have two decisions. You got to hold yourself. You're either going to super thanks me in the video that $20 or donate it to a kid's hospital and then send me an email with the receipt. There's no in between. Why is Seattle so popular? What's going on with this roster that everyone wants to see them rebuild? Let's see what we're working with here. So the interior of the O-line is pretty bad. Pretty much all three of these guys are replaceable. You got Charles Cross. You have a nice left tackle. Abe Lucas was one of my draft steals when he was coming out of Washington State, and he looks serviceable. Dev trade tackles. You always want a game with an upside. How old is Noah Fant? He's been around for a minute, so 27, likely close to his ceiling. So you probably need a long-term tight end here. Wide receiver room, DK Metcalf's not getting any younger. Tyler Lockett's 77. He has hit that wall. DK's what, he's 26, 27? Okay, so, I mean, I have seen the rumors that DK is potentially on the trade block. As a channel, as a segment of football YouTube that has very much been a fan of DK Metcalf, don't know if I want to trade him now, but, like, if things aren't looking great, sure. You got Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. I mean, great. As long as if Kenneth Walker can stay healthy, he's absolutely a top 10 running back in the league. You got Jackson Smith-Njigba is panning out, 23 years old. So, I mean, if you are, like, harshly looking at this, like, maybe you'll look at shipping off Tyler Lockett, even though, I don't know, there's not very much value. You're not selling while value is high. Might make more sense to just let him, like, retire as a Seahawk. But you know what? I get it. I get looking at this team. DK, could you ship him off? Noah Fant, could you ship him off? You got Geno Smith as your quarterback. Great redemption story. Didn't call back, but he's 34. He's good and bad, mixed bag, inconsistent, hot and cold. It's an awesome story, but the fact of the matter is Geno Smith, if you're a Seahawks fan, going to be the quarterback that can bring you and win you a Super Bowl? I have my doubts. And then, I mean, I get the idea of trading for Sam Howell. I think there's, I don't want to say necessarily upside, but like you could have way worse developmental, maybe you can be a quarterback for us, quarterbacks on your roster than Sam Howell. But fact of the matter is you have a very old quarterback and clearly no successor in place. So I have to find a quarterback sooner than later. I don't know if it'd be this year or next year, but the Seahawks have a long-term quarterback problem. But anytime you have that, I get it. Those are kind of the funner teams to rebuild because you have to look through the college game, and in a realistic format, we're going to be able to draft some of the big names from college football. Defensively, on that front three, you got two veterans here in Reed and Williams. You got the rookie, now entering a sophomore season, in Byron Murphy out of Texas. So that's a nice piece. Tariq Woolen's had some up and downs. Last I heard, he sucked, but 86 superstar. I don't know, unless that's just Madden being Madden. That looks all right. Height, weight, speed, love it. Witherspoon is probably one of my favorite players of that 2023 draft class out of Illinois. Absolute dog. So you feel pretty good about our corners, that they're going to be here and they're going to grow and they're going to be long-term pieces when this team gets turned around to be Super Bowl contenders. The safeties, you got Julian. How did that happen? I thought Julian Love was just a guy like on the Giants. 87 superstar. What? That is the Mike McDonald effect, I guess. The linebacker core, very interesting. You got Ernest Jones, who's bounced around a couple teams. You got Knight, who's one of the surprise value rookies from last year's class. You got Hall. You got Mafe. You got Draymond Jones, who's on an expensive contract. Wosu got paid to jump over from the Chargers. I would say from a salary cap standpoint, maybe a couple bad contracts on the defense, but we could work with a lot of this. But you know what? I get it. Now that I'm seeing this roster, I get it. This is a team that's in football purgatory. This is a team that has a mix of good players that are old and young, which that's fine if you're clearly a Super Bowl contender. We're clearly not that right now. And it does ultimately come down to the fact that Geno Smith is our quarterback, and I don't know if he's going to be the guy that can bring us to a Super Bowl. So when we figure out, who our quarterback of the future is, I mean, then you got Lockett that's going to get phased out. DK could get a year or two older out of his prime. Same with Noah Fant. On the defensive side, Leonard Williams' best football is behind him, right? So I get it. I get it. This team needs a little bit of TLC, needs a little bit of a push to get over that hump and become a Super Bowl contender, and that is what we're going to try to achieve here today. So before we get into the video, guys, I need, and always, we're just going to do the cheesy YouTuber stuff. I like to try to get 1,000 likes on all of these realistic rebuilds. But more importantly, let me know in the comment section below which rebuild you guys want to see next and what college players you want featured, and I will do the most requested. But without further ado, let's close out year 0 of this rebuild and get into the offseason. So the stats for Geno Smith, not particularly great at all. He battled injury on and off, but 21 touchdowns and 15 picks. I mean, he got paid not long-term money, which is good, but he got paid and definitely did not play up to that contract. Kenneth Walker just can't stay healthy, but if he did stay healthy, he's absolutely, and I've seen some pretty big Kenneth Walker sim numbers, so I have very high expectations of that 1-2 punch. But the question is, you know, if we're going to commit to Kenneth Walker, do we try to sell Charbonnet? There's not too many teams, I don't think I've ever seen any team, that has value in having 2 running backs long-term. So that's something we could consider. Receiving, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 100 catches, 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns. DK just under 1,000. So, I mean, if this can be a sim team that once we get it rolling can facilitate 2,000-yard receivers, that's the money zone. That's the sweet spot that you want to try to be at. Defensively, Ernest Jones, Julian Love was solid, over 100 tackles. We got 11 sacks from Leonard Williams. Ageless wonder, he had a hell of a year. 8 sacks from Derek Hall, 6 from Mafe. Picks are, yeah, not too bad. Tariq Woolen, 3 picks, 3 for Kobe Bryant, who was a corner. Now he's moving at safety. Interesting. Okay. I mean, as long as this defense plays well, which it should as a defensive head coach and Mike McDonald, and our offense is going to be able to facilitate 2,000-yard receivers potentially and have Kenneth Walker put up some of the numbers that I have seen from an outside perspective on Seattle here in Madden 25, you know, you can make the argument we might only be a quarterback away. We did have one retirement, and that is the bodyguard, an absolute legend, spending most of his time with my beloved Philadelphia Eagles. Actually saw a report that, like, he is turning this into, like, a front office job with the Seahawks. Maybe we'll help them draft linemen well for once. This is where it gets interesting. The cap sucks. $14 million bucks. So we have Charles Cross. We're going to decline that 5th-year option because we're going to need him to be a long-term contract. We got Ernest Jones, Jaron Reed. Anyone that has to get paid? I mean, Ernest Jones would make the most sense. How much would that cost me? Round that up. Maybe not an arm and a leg. 3-year, 24. Oh, okay. Later. Curiosity's sake, there's just no value right now for Charbonnet, and I don't really want to go searching for a trade offer. He's still on a rookie contract, so he'll stay. To be honest, curiosity got the best of me for DK Metcalf, and again, just no real great value there. Not one of those trades I'd even remotely consider. This is the best offer you could get for Noah Fant. You keep Noah Fant. Here's a trade that I really liked. The Bears were interested in Chenowusu, who's just part of our pass rush rotation, 75. Star Dev. I'm able to throw in a future 4th-round pick to get a 3rd-round pick this year. Easy business. With all due respect to the quarterbacks that are available, I'm not seeing anything that makes me go, yes, that's what we need instead of Geno Smith at the time being. So our needs would be interior offensive line, so that's guard, center, nickel. And looking at the guards that we can afford, unfortunately, it would be nice to get Tevin Jenkins. We just don't have enough to really chuck him a bag, unfortunately. And it's going to be one of those spots, I don't think there's going to be many upgrades that we could afford if there is an upgrade. So there's nothing there on the interior. Likely that will be where we need to look in the draft. We also need a nickel corner, potentially. We do have Kobe Bryant who can play that position, but I'd rather him be a full-time starter at safety. And then we look elsewhere. Yeah, why not? Isaiah Rodgers had a hell of a year for the Eagles. He tests the open market. I think that could be sneaky good business from the Seahawks. There we go. So take a look at the final mock draft. This could be very unsexy. We need interior linemen. If we're not going to be aggressive and get a quarterback this year, that is absolutely the position we need. So we have Kelvin Banks, who honestly, I mean, potentially need to consider it. A lot of people are thinking he might have to go in and play guard anyways. And there's no other guard that's really projected to go in the 1st round. So we might be able to double up and just retool the entire interior of this offensive line here And then that will allow us to be aggressive for a quarterback down the line. Or if, like, interesting quarterback prospects there, second, third round, maybe we make a move. So at pick 18 in the 2025 NFL Draft, well, Kevin Beggs just went, so I don't have to cheese a position over. Looking at what we need, we have Tyler Booker as a first-round talent. Our centers, Monheim there, second, third rounder. Zivina, second, third rounder. So it seems like an absolute layup. We are going to get, and it's unsexy, but a legitimate, pretty much every smart, in the know, tapped into the draft expert has a guard going in the first round. And his name is Tyler Booker. Ends up being number 24, true value, at pick number 18. We're going to get the hog mollies going. We're going to get this run game going. In the second round, we have the best center available in the draft. Still on the board, a pass block on Jonah Monheim, who's played, I believe, across the line for USC, giving you some nice positional versatility there. Number 67. Honestly, just need a dev trade here. Normal dev would be a bit of a wet fart. Damn it. In the third round, we're going to get a linebacker that is shooting up draft boards. Carson Schweisinger. Not a great rating, but he is pulling a dev trait. And we need someone to take over that Ernest Jones position in the middle of the defense. And with that extra third round pick we got from the Chenowusu trade, could it be time? We're going to do this. I'm going to do this on the fact he might not even be better than Sam Howell as a prospect, like for what we have on our roster. But maybe we try it out. He has a dev trait, getting absolutely dogged on his throw power. I think he'd have 90. I would have given him like 91, 92, which probably would jump his rating up a bit. But Quinn Ewers in the third round is a Seattle Seahawk. So here's a look at our final draft recap. Ends up, that's a pretty solid draft, I think, in hindsight. We got Nick Nash, who was the leading receiver in all college football last year, still there in the sixth round. Today, screw it, why not? Tyler Lockett's on the way out. Quinn Ewers, 67 with a hidden dev trait. Schweisinger, 68 with a dev trait. Monheim, 72 normal, but that's still good enough to make him a clear day one starter for us at center. And obviously, Tyler Booker is now instantly our best interior lineman. Something that helps about the Quinn Ewers, Geno Smith dynamic is Geno Smith does have the mentorship tag, so we are going to be getting extra XP for Quinn Ewers all year long, which is interesting. I'll tell you what, there's one way to start year one of a rebuild. Week one, we beat the Falcons 38-21, and we get a hat trick of interceptions from Kobe Bryant at safety. Cool. Sick. Let's that every game, please. All right, we're 7-1. We were 6-0 until we ran into the Niners. I mean, our issue isn't necessarily, we just don't have a Geno Smith successor. This is probably going to be the last year of Geno Smith. I'm kind of hoping his contract's up, so that frees up a little bit of money, which it is. Tyler Lockett's contract's up. It's probably going to be mutually beneficial in that circumstance to probably let the legend walk. Kobe Bryant had those 3 picks, so I would like to keep him in the building. 3-year, $12 million. Dunzo. I mean, look how much salary cap we have. Like, let's get Kenneth Walker. I'm going to go 6. That got him locked up for the rest of the rebuild. We have DK Metcalf. If I'm going to keep someone that maybe, if I had to give out one contract that might not be the best contract in hindsight, I'm going to give it to DK to keep him here on the team. We got Tariq Woolen for a 3-year. How about a 4-year? And I'll give you a little bit more to smooth that one over. 4 years, 64. Tariq Woolen, happy to stay here. We have Charles Carras, franchise tackle. Here's a 5-year deal. Boom. Still have 100+ mil. We have Mafe. We have Lucas at tackle. I'll give maybe Lucas a 3-year, $30 million deal. Dunzo. Mafe, Noah Fant. Gino. If he takes that one, there we go. I mean, done. Happy. Everyone loves being here with Mike McDonald. That's what happens to me when you're 7-1. Well, that's a disappointing way to end the year. We were 7-1 and we finished 9-8. Now I don't want to say that it was, we got put to the wood chipper here, because I mean we got some. Falcons is a quality win. Rams, Texans, Steelers, but then falls off the rails a little bit. We got to be beating the Jags, right? We got to be beating the Titans, and that's probably the difference maker between making the playoffs. Also, catching out of the corner of my eye, Patrick Mahomes had 64 passing touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes with 64 touchdowns, breaking the record. Okay? Actually, we can probably just look at it right here. Patrick Mahomes, 64 touchdowns, breaking the record. And I think Saquon Barkley with 29 rushing touchdowns breaks the record. So you got Mahomes there, done. Saquon there, done. Rashee Rice breaks another. So 3 records are broken this year. And it's still not more impressive than us blowing a 7-1 start to finish the goddamn year 9-8. Looking at our stats, Geno Smith, this is, like, again, a good spot to be when you're letting him walk at the end of the year. Pretty much same stat line that we had a year ago. That wasn't good enough. The only positive that we have out of this is Geno Smith has the mentorship tag, and we're able to sit Quinn Ewers and let him develop a little bit, and he's going to end his campaign. We also focus trained him throughout the week. 72 with a dev trade going into year 2. I think that's realistically, and this is a realistic rebuild, a situation that the Seahawks would have to consider. If Quinn Ewers is still there in the 3rd round, you handled business improving the interior of the offensive line, you didn't trade away DK Metcalf, well, a developmental quarterback with a higher ceiling somehow certainly could be in the cards. And it looks like Quinn Ewers will be our quarterback next season. At least give an opportunity. And let me just be very clear. Sometimes when I do these rebuilds, like when I did, Shador Sanders on the Raiders, or when I did, Cam Ward on the Titans, for an example, I knew before I hit record on the rebuild what I was going to do. Who was making the thumbnail? Who was going to be the star player? This year, absolutely not. This was just up. We had 2 third-round picks. Quinn Ewers is still there. If he didn't pop with the dev trade, probably wouldn't be having this conversation, but he did. And I think we at least explore that next season. Run game, we got 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns with Ken Walker. Pretty awesome. As you can see, just no value in having a back of Charbonnet's talent here, who can start on a lot of teams. So I do think he might be trade fodder, maybe a heater in a trade-up scenario in the draft. Like if we have a 3rd-round pick, we want a 2nd-round pick, package that 3rd, and Charbonnet could get us up around. Who knows? Receiving, we have 2,000-yard receivers, so we can have a strong run game in our 2,000-yard receivers. Thank you very much, Mr. McDonald. I can work with this. This is going to be our offense going forward. Defensively, Tyrese Knight was 2nd in the NFL in tackles. He's on that normal dev, so I'm expecting a potential dev trade increase. We got 10 TFLs, 8.5 sacks from Byron Murphy. Oh, I forgot. The classic 3-4 defense, huh? Great. Kobe Bryant led the team with 4 picks. He had 3 week 1. And then from there out, we had 3 interceptions for the rest of the year. Not good, considering we have Devin Witherspoon as one of our highest rated players, and Tariq Woolen is one of our highest rated players. Now, sacks, picks, and all that stuff is great for the box score. It's great for dev traits, which in a rebuild context, that's very important. You have to consider, very seriously. But at the end of the day, our pass and rush defense, very good. Points, not so good. Run game was on point. Pass game, don't really care too much because we had our 2,000-yard receivers, which is about as much as you can ask for. But we just need to improve our points for and improve our points against. And I think, we won't blow a 7-1 start to the season. So as far as dev trades are concerned, as we close things out, Quinn Ewers always, we saw the dev trade. Is always going to be a star. Tyler Booker with a star dev. No other dev trades up or down on the offensive side of the ball, which, is fair. And then we have Tyler Lockett, absolute legend. Unfortunately, regression is very, very harsh. I mean, even not that big of a discrepancy. Geno Smith got hit with about 4 points of regression. So it almost makes just more sense, clearly, to play Quinn Ewers from this point going forward. We're also letting Noah Fant walk to free agency, so we are going to have to find a tight end at some point in time. Defensively, I thought Byron Murphy might have done enough to potentially go up a dev trait. But other than that, Schweisinger was no hidden dev. It's a star. Knight, after coming 2nd in the NFL in tackles, gets a dev trait increase. Kobe Bryant was a normal dev. He gets a star dev increase. So it looks pretty solid. I think, honestly, taking a step back, looking at it, maybe we need like a couple X factors, like literally and figuratively. Who are the absolute game changers on this team? Have an idea that, like, Walker could be one, DK could be one, JSN could be one, Witherspoon could be one, Byron Murphy could be one, but could be and will be are different things. And I think we need to find some absolute game changers here. And hopefully they're on the roster. We just got to grow, develop, and nurture them. So for us, because we have so much salary cap, there is no issue whatsoever declining the 5th-year option on both Devin Witherspoon and JSN, as we could pay them very easily. And these are going to be the guys that are leaving. You know what? Let's look at the career stats. Lockett's earned that. Tyler Lockett finishes his career with the Seahawks, 9,200 yards on over 700 catches and 66 touchdowns, plus an electrifying special teamer. Legend. Well, we found our Noah Fant replacement in free agency. We get Isaiah Likely. Obviously, Mike McDonald comes from the Baltimore Ravens, where he knows how talented Isaiah Likely is. Bear behind Mark Andrews there on the depth chart. We're going to give him an opportunity to start. It's good. That's a good get. Sneaky get. Didn't have to overpay either. So we are in the business. Look at the final mock draft here. We need still guard, even though it's very, very unappealing going guard first round back-to-back drafts. But we could look interior, maybe in the second round. We need a 3-4 defensive end, which would be a big get. And the best 3-4 defensive end in the class is going at pick 8. We are picking at 18. So for us, we would have to look at least, I think it's worth calling the Saints. Be like, hey, you guys looking for? You guys want a Zach Charbonnet? Okay. They picked up the phone. I said, I'll give you my first round pick this year to jump up 10 spots. Nothing crazy, but it's also not nothing. I'll give you my first this year, my second next year, which I'm looking at a trade value chart right now. First and a second. Right now, it says that the number 8 pick has a value around 1,400 points. So a first from pick 18 and a second gives us about 1,200. So we need to make a 200-point gap. Saints, Alvin Kamara's gone. You have Charbonnet on a rookie contract. I like to think that there's that value. There's closing that gap, and we should be in a situation here, as long as the mock draft holds true, to get the best 3-4 defensive end in the class in Falk from Auburn. Now, I've been lied to in the past, but at least not a scenario here. We are now on the board at pick 8. The board has fallen the way we want it to. Yeah, honestly, Peter Woods is still there at 6'2", 315. A power move. Ooh. Because we can get Peter Woods in, and then we can move Byron Murphy out to defensive end. Let's throw the names out of the way. Let's just see. Okay, so if we needed a D lineman, so let's see what we got here. We got 3 Bs and an A. And from a combine standpoint, greats and goods. Elite acceleration. Under a 4.5 at 3, well over 300 pounds, 38 reps on the bench press. Looks pretty good. Let's look at Falk, the man that we actually traded up for. 6'6", 290, has A power move, B tackle. Kind of one-dimensional, has elite strength with the... Let's be honest, fellas. I think this is the move. And I've actually seen Peter Woods play a couple times for Clemson. Absolute dog, absolute beast. Number 6 in true value at pick 8. Let's go. And I think that's going to be my play. He's a little bit bigger than Byron Murphy, so we're going to have him play D tackle. And we're going to move Murphy to defensive end, which is that's kind of always where I envision him playing anyways on this line. And I don't really love the board right now, so I'm going to kind of go BPA, which is Eugene Wilson. We just lost Tyler Lockett, and I wasn't planning on replacing right away because we're going to look like we're going to be an offense. It's just 2,000-yard receivers. Whoever that third option is, got to be a role player. But the board is what it is. Eugene Wilson, Trey Wilson from my Gators, a very good football player. We'll probably be going this range anyways. I'm expecting him and DJ Legway absolutely to tear it up. And he ends up being number 32 in true value at pick 50 with a dev trait and a true Tyler Lockett successor. Oh, third round. Really just took the best guard available. Didn't look anything crazy. Ends up being number 47 in true value at 82. Patrick Kudus out of Ole Miss with a dev trait. Okay. Well, sick. So take a look at our draft recap. Outstanding. I mean, we get Sama, 70 running back. Get Deal at depth linebacker. Kutas, who will likely start for us at right guard. Trey Wilson, who will be our third wide receiver, easy. And then we get Peter Woods, who's going to be a day 1 starter on the defensive line. Slam dunk of a draft year from the Seattle Seahawks. So for the first year of the Quinn Ewers era, which I don't know if I officially want to brand it as that, we're figuring it out if it's worth to continue to explore Quinn Ewers as our quarterback. We're 3-5. Wasn't expecting to be lighting the league up. It's always a little bit of growing pains with a brand new quarterback. We're not too shabby. Kenneth Walker's absolutely crushing it. I believe he's the leading running back in the league right now, which he is, and from a yard standpoint, which is pretty good. I also think something as far as like how competitive our squad is. We have so much salary cap. We are a very cheap roster, but also like they're just, you know, we're going to need to be aggressive in free agency when the names present itself because we have so much money and we're operating on a rookie contract. I honestly feel like, you know, Leonard Williams is probably past his expiry date, but we have so much money. I don't have a successor in place that like you might as well keep him in the building if he's interested in sticking around. Same with Jackson Smith in Jigba. I'd like to get him, we'll go 6-year, 146 He's a little bit more time, probably 150. We'll be able to lock him in for the remainder of the rebuild. Ideally, we can get this Super Bowl in within the next 6 seasons. We'll go 5 years for Devin Witherspoon. And like even coming back for JSN, that's still going to have us well over $90 million of cap room. We have Derek Hall. It's been a pretty decent pass rusher, like enough that we'll offer him like something like that, maybe. Cool. And the season might be a little bit of a write-off as far as like, can we, go? We have to pretty much win out to have a chance at the playoffs. But in a bitter rivalry game over the Niners, we go 42-19, and Quinn Ewers gets his first Player of the Week performance with a 5-touchdown game, which put up a stat like that against the Niners, maybe you could stick around here in the NFL. We needed to win out. We did win out. We finished 9-8, which is not a crazy record, but maybe with, Quinn Ewers essentially being a rookie quarterback, you can live with that. Looking at our numbers, pretty solid. Nothing standout-ish. But we've had some standout-ish performers. We're coming off a must-win against the Giants, and our first-round pick, Peter Woods, gets Defensive Player of the Week with a hat trick of sacks, and he's an absolute stud. Now, spoiler alert, I know everyone wants to use these classes. I know I share what draft classes I'm using, but there are 2 picks are very good. We got Eugene Wilson, Florida Gator. Not my class, not like I cheese this because he's a Gator. He is a superstar dev, and he's going like in the 3rd round. So if you need a steal at wide receiver for your 2026 draft class and you're using the sports gaming rosters, keep this little nugget that Trey Wilson is an absolute machine. Quinn Ewers is up to an 81 overall, so I'm going to expect a pretty good stat line. But Trey Wilson, superstar dev, and Peter Woods, superstar dev. Now, I was more so gambling and almost confident that Woods would have a superstar dev. He is quite the specimen on the defensive line, but I suppose we absolutely lucked out with Trey Wilson also bringing in a very nice dev trade. Look at the stats. Quinn Ewers in his first year as a starter, pretty acceptable, almost 4,000 yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 picks. And if you're viewing this within the scope of, treating him like he's a rookie, those are very, very good rookie numbers. Borderline, like, challenging all-time records. So that's a good start. 12-12 from Kenneth Walker. We got our 2,000-yard receivers in JSN and DK Metcalf. Trey Wilson also chipping in. Decent, maybe not great return on investment from Isaiah Likely in his first year after paying him a pretty penny in free agency. Knight and Schweisinger are tackle machines. We got 11.5 sacks from rookie Peter Woods, 9 from Leonard Williams, 7.5 from Byron Murphy, 5.5 from Mafe. I don't want to say I regret paying Derek Hall because it wasn't a crazy contract relative, but, this is probably going to be all we're going to get for the pass rush. And it's likely going to come majorly from our front 3, which I don't hate. Picks look pretty good as well. 3 from Knight, 3 from Devin Witherspoon, and Isaiah Rodgers with hat trick. And unfortunately, we had no award winners, which just gives us, that dog mentality, that motivated run to take down the Detroit Lions, who everyone knows, big dogs in the NFC along the Philadelphia Eagles. But Seattle's right in that hunt. And look at that, we take them down. The curse continues in Detroit. Beautiful. Quinn Ewers in his first playoff game, 31-23, plays a cleaner game than Jared Goff, over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Kenneth Walker, fine. DK went nuclear, 10 catches, $172, and a touchdown. And on the defensive side of the ball, just getting after it. It takes a village to rush the passer, and that is what we're getting here out of McDonald's defense. The Eagles are 17-0. What? No way. Okay, well, one thing I can say as an Eagle fan, if I'm putting a short list of teams that for whatever reason have been pain in the ass of the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm saying Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm saying probably Seattle. If we're just, the whole NFC West has always been tricky for the Philadelphia Eagles. So maybe we got a little bit of magic to end a perfect season for the Eagles. Damn it. 17-0. I've seen a couple 17-0s. I've never seen them go on and win the Super Bowl. I actually think, like, in my last rebuild, the Bills were 17-0 at a certain point. They lost. You can't have those turnovers. Wow. Couldn't beat the cheat code. Couldn't beat the final boss. Shit, I didn't even know. We won the West with a 9-8 record. Okay. And the Packers went 16-1. Jesus. And unfortunately, at the end of the year, I suppose, just an age thing, because he went over 1,000 yards, we lost the superstar dev on DK Metcalf. Which, I mean, we talked about when we previewed this roster. He's at that weird age of, like, if we're not winning and we're not maximizing his value, it would be worth to trade him. Luckily, Quinn Ewers is kind of speeding up this rebuild just slightly, so it is worth keeping DK, but the regression has hit, which is certainly a bummer. And on the defensive side, Leonard Williams loses his dev trade. Same with Kobe Bryant. We gain an X factor for some reason on Julian Love. Don't know why that happened, but not going to complain. And so the offseason, because we have so much salary cap, I'm obviously going to decline the 5th-year option on Byron Murphy so we can get ahead of that contract extension next season. So for free agency, I'm a willing investor of this $103 million. What we could look at is, even though I just re-signed him, Leonard Williams regressing, hitting that wall at pass rush, and unfortunately there's just nothing really there. We also need a nickel corner. Could he go like Marlon Humphrey on a rental, reuniting with McDonald? Like, I usually don't love signing veterans, but when, like, it is tied into the rebuild, Raven ties with McDonald, I think it might be worth pursuing, honestly. You also can use safety. There's not much there, so I think, hey, why not? What's he looking for? 1 year? 31. He has a mentorship tag, so it'll help Devin Witherspoon to a certain degree. And it can move Devin Witherspoon on the outside, which is kind of where we need him to play. Let's see. I'm not going to overpay, but let's... Hell yeah. Let's go. Look at the final mock draft. Some big names going to the top. Jeremiah Smith, Dylan Stewart, Ryan Williams, Colin Simmons. Where the hell is Arch Manning? Arch Manning just not going in the first round? I refuse to believe that mock draft situation. But for us, I think safety could be a sneaky get. Pretty much same needs as free agency. We got our corner, even though it's not necessarily a long-term option. 3-4 defensive end. It's kind of where our scouting has gone. We're currently projected to get Jordan Seaton at tackle. I'm going to be honest. This Coy Parrish from Minnesota, first second talent at safety, looks pretty damn interesting. Okay, luckily Arch Manning did get drafted, because we'd have to have a conversation, I think, if he was still on the board. I mean, yeah, Raiola, maybe not Holstein, but like Raiola's probably going to be worth a rebuild at some point. But for our needs, again, 3-4 defensive end, so we're looking for the bigger boys, and there's not really a lot of straight scheme fits here. We'd have to look at a D tackle that we can push outside, and not overly interested with that board. I'm more interested in safety. We have Parrish and Ricardo Jones, both similar grades. Jones has B zone coverage. Obviously, you treat these like these aren't real players. Who would I draft? B tackle, B zone, 6'1", 200 pounds. Combine is got elite in the agility, almost top 5 in everything that you care about. His pro day was better. Or for Mr. Parrish, we got very similar letter grades, 6'1", 204, similar frame, and he is similar athlete, same but different. You know, elite jumping. I think Jones might be the more interesting one. It's more of a straight... No, we'll do it. We're not going to overthink it. Clemson was great to us when we got Peter Woods. And he's 24 true value at 26. And we get the dev trade. Let's go. So looking at our draft board, we end up, not bad across the board. Like when 65 is your lowest rated player, and these draft classes are not the easiest to draft from. You can live with it. We got Ratcliffe here, 70-plus player, depth safety, which is good. We got 69 on Deshaun Bishop, the running back out of Tennessee. We got another almost 70 fringe player in Stamps at corner out of LSU with 93 speed. So he brings some great verticality to his game. But the big get is in the first round. Happy with, an at value type pick. Wasn't a bust, wasn't a reach. Rolled a dev trade in Ricardo Jones. Point of view number 3, above 500, which is pretty good. I'll take that. Hasn't always been the case. Looking at our contracts, $93 million. This is where things get a little interesting because I feel like there's obvious re-signings, and there's ones like, all right, we down way back here. We have old Leonard Williams. Probably time to move on there, right? So then you go into Tyree Snider, who's been a tackle machine since he's been here. He's only looking for 3 years. So let's literally, he's like, hey, I want to be here for the rest of my prime. And I go, okay, certainly. 3-year, $28.5 million deal. Let's not worry about it. We have Byron Murphy II, who's also been a fairly awesome player. And I think he is worth a big-time contract extension. He's been our most consistent pass rusher throughout this rebuild. So let's see, 5-year, 145, able to overcome his lack of interest in re-signing. We have $58 million remaining. Now, here's a very interesting one in Julian Love. Don't want him for 3 years because it's almost a lock that he's going to lose that depth trait this offseason just because he's going for 29 to 30. But I think from like a regression, like 2-year is more in line with what I'd want to pay. And we're probably not going to have like a huge pool of like free agents that I want to look. He wants to up the years. I'm going to try to give you a little bit more to keep those years at 2. And for $500,000 more, doesn't suddenly care about that 3rd year of the contract. Got him for 2 years. Can live with that. Okay, I'm going to be honest. A little confused, man. Why is it so hard to win? Our team is shockingly good for only being year 3 of this rebuild. 90 plus overall. Our rankings, our defense is twice as good as it was a year ago. How are we below 500? Like, we won our last 2 in a row. We were 6-9 going into the final stretch. Like, I don't know. Maybe the stats will show us. So, from a passing, not prolific passing numbers, 26 touchdowns is not usually enough. Our run game has kind of hit a ceiling. It hasn't been bad, but it's not like we've got much better. 2,000-yard receivers, so that's cool. But passing touchdowns definitely need to be higher. There's probably strike one. On the defensive side of the ball, our sacks were terrible. And our interceptions were fine. Definitely did not get the bump to the defense that the addition of Marlon Humphrey in free agency I thought was going to bring. As per normal, it's pretty much a formality at this point, declining the 5th-year option on Tyler Booker because we're going to pay him next year. We sat out of free agency. There were some big names. Not necessarily dogging the free agency class like I do sometimes when I want to spend. There's just nothing there. I get Jahmyr Gibbs. You got Quinyon Mitchell, Fonda Newhome, Xavier Worthy. So a lot of those guys from that first draft class when we started this rebuild. Maybe Philly won't be such a juggernaut now. Finding Leonard Williams' replacement in the draft was my big priority. That's why I focused scouted D tackles, and, well, we got at least one that looks pretty good. We have our 2 nose tackle cheese there a little bit later on, but Foster looks interesting. B power, B block shed, 6'4", 317. Pretty good combine, sub 540, 37 reps on the bench press, 39 at the combine. Also scouted the lone 3-4 defensive end in B.J. Morant, who, to be honest, looks a little more interesting. Now, wish he had something better in a power or finesse move. So at pick 11, we have really our pick of the litter here. Honestly, if you want me to be truthful, I think trading down. Because, pick of the litter. The guys that I think we would want, be it Morant, leaning a little more towards Foster right now, but like he's, what? I could trade back to the ass end of the first round. He should still be there. So let's see if anyone wants to talk business here. I think the most interesting offer is right in from the Dolphins. Trade back to 26. Get that 2nd round pick this year. Dunzo. Oh, the D tackle went 25. Randall Foster. That's unbelievable. This guy's gonna suck now. Oh, god damn it. God damn it. Well, we won't look this gift horse in the mouth. We have Roman McDougal from Ohio State, 6'4". I mean, we got Marlon Humphrey on a rental. He's going to be gone next year, so we will gladly take... I mean, there's no dev trait, but a top 5 player in the 2nd round. We'll take that. Another trade pick that cost us our first choice on the D-line. Looking ahead at contracts, next year's going to be very expensive. We got Quinn Ewers, Tyler Booker. Abe Lucas at right tackle could be kind of an odd man outcome contract extension time. We got Lamar Barrington here from Florida, gigantic human being. We got B run block, A awareness. First in bench press. Pretty good about this pick. 36 in true value at 58. And we get a dev trade roll. Let's go. A carry, A break tackle, A stiff arm, A trucking. Chris Stewart. Okay. So take a look at our draft recap. All in all, I mean, I feel good about the draft in some regards, and in other regards, it's a bummer. We got our two new special teamers, double 70s to kind of close it out. Stewart, who had A's across the board for a power back, 77. No dev trait. Barrington, 74, pops the dev trait. Yay. Roman McDougal, 77, pops the dev trait. Yay. First round, trading back, playing with fire, getting burned. We had to select B.J. Moran, who looked good at face value, had him scouted. 74 normal. And who was it? Carolina that took our D tackle. Now let's look. I mean, the D tackle could have. Yes, it was. Randall Foster is who we wanted to trade back to get. He's 70. Please be normal. There we go. I can live with it. We're good. So we're 2-1. We're here very early in the season because we have some gigantic contracts we want to get ahead of. The price is only going to go up the longer that we wait. Quinn Ewers is going to be our quarterback of the rebuild. Hopefully this doesn't come back to bite us in the ass. We got Tyler Booker, Schweisinger, Mafe, Lucas. All right, we got a couple guys. So Humphrey, we drafted his successor. Lucas, we drafted his successor. Mafe just hasn't really justified a new contract. It's not expensive, but Schweisinger has been awesome, so we're going to give him a 5-year, $48 million deal. I think Tyler Booker, no complaints whatsoever, building through the trenches. 4 years, $76 million deal for the former first-round pick. And would love to keep Monaheim. Something like that. Part of that first class. Hell yeah, let's go. But we are going to have to replace some more guys. Which, no problem. No biggie. We're drafting like beasts. And then you for goddamn 13-4, our best record by a long shot. We finished with the number 2 offense, number 1 rushing offense. Defense is almost top 10 across the board. Kenneth Walker is the leading rusher in the NFL as from a yardage standpoint. And, I mean, Quinn Ewers played better. Maybe not up to the contract that I threw out his way with the wide receivers that we have on the roster. But 13 wins, not going to complain. And I think there's also certainly an element of how dominant our run game is. That's going to be the balance. It's like, you know, do we still get our 2,000-yard receivers? We certainly did. JSN had a hell of a year. DK went off. Wilson was solid. Ewers also had 7 rushing touchdowns, so that gives him 38 on the year. That looks a lot better than 31. Math. Defensively, Schweisinger over 100 tackles. We got 14 sacks, Peter Woods, 10.5 Byron Murphy, 8 from Mafe, 5.5 from B.J. Morant, 3 picks, Tariq Woolen leading the team. I mean, not too much to complain about. The only bummer is Kenneth Walker is our only award winner. Picking up some extra hardware here by winning running back of the year. No one else at any other position. In the first round of the playoffs, we get the 9-8 New Orleans Saints, who are pretty damn good in their outright. Almost a 90-plus overall. They have a really, really good run defense. Top 5 run defense, which is annoying. I was about to say, like, all right, we're going to need our run game to probably take over. I don't foresee, at least with how we played this year, let's be in a game like Quinn Ewers goes off. And 13-4, 91 overall program. One and done in the playoffs as we lose 31-28 to Nico Ayamaleva, who I actually, if I had to say that there was a quarterback that I was thinking in my head that we were going to draft and use in this rebuild, I was thinking maybe it was time to cash in a Nico rebuild. He is one of the more upside-y, talked about, hyped up quarterbacks in college football right now for Tennessee. We went Quinn Ewers, and I mean, at least in this battle, kind of, you know, most similar stat lines. Either quarterback won or lost the game for their team. Their run defense showed up. Ours, oh, Charbonnet. Getting revenge. That's disappointing, man. This team should have gone on a Super Bowl. And we're reflecting on the year that was. Kenneth Walker is now Superstar X Factor, which is awesome, but like we're just not. Like JSN hasn't gone up dev trait. Quinn Ewers hasn't gone up to dev trait. Like none of our skill position players have gone in the right direction outside of Kenneth Walker. Defensively, again, just same kind of deal. Like, we lose the dev trade on Humphrey. McDougal, because he didn't play, loses his dev trade. I'm going to assume it was just a star. Don't have double regression. Didn't he have a dev trade? Guess not. I thought he did. Tripping. I feel like we are still... Okay, question got answered slightly because Kenneth Walker leading rushing yards goes up X factor. Still feel like we just don't have enough game changers on this team to, like, separate us from the pack come playoff time. Which, in reality, you know, is usually the difference between winning and losing. And there's now a concern. We're going to decline the fifth-year option on Peter Woods. Our salary cap's getting a little tighter now that we have Quinn Ewers under contract. We got to keep Peter Woods. We literally just game changers. We need them. He's probably our biggest game changer on the defensive side of the ball. That is a big number that we're going to have to deal with next season. All right, let's rock and roll as we begin the 2029 NFL Draft. Your Seattle Seahawks looking to figure it out. Very disappointing way to end the year. Our need is pass rush. We let Mafe walk, had no money to really re-sign him. We got a couple guys that look interesting. We have Antoine Young. Kind of stand, you know, let's be honest. These two guys, Flynn and Winter, I scouted Winter because he had a finesse move. Standing out a little bit. Pretty decent combine. Wish the 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle were a little better. We get the A finesse move here on Flynn. Same kind of deal. Not the best. And when we shift to defensive, like, edges, we have Denzel Beal, who looks interesting, out of Nevada. B finesse move, B tackle. And the combine is, he ran 4.5. Like, let's be honest. This is kind of going to be the tiebreaker here. No other real position to need. So we're going to go with the best athlete of the bunch in Denzel Beal. Woof. 63 in true value at 24. But athletically enough to get us a dev trade. 6-1. A little bit of Elvis Dumerville going on here. And then we're going to follow it up with a little bit of nose tackle cheese here in Marcel Callaway. 92 in true value at 56. He's the only guy that's your clear nose tackle at 350 pounds. Does pop with the dev trade 98 strength, which then could potentially allow us to move Peter Woods outside. Let him get out to the quarterback a little bit more. So take a look at our draft recap. Happy with everything for the most part. Got Kirkland in the 3rd round out of South Florida, slot wide receiver depth. You know, really, it probably would never be too early to start preparing for life with DK Metcalf. Just didn't really get that height, weight, speed guy on the outside. We got a nice hidden dev lineman in Brian Hodel out of South Carolina. But the big thing here that we need to see is Beal is a 73, hand in the dirt. Now, what happens when we move him to a outside standing linebacker? Not a lot, but I mean, I guess zone coverage does play a little bit into how the stats will all kind of break it down here. I don't know if we need him to be left or right. We'll go left for now. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Splitting hairs, 73 to a 72. Damn. So looking to find a way to go 13-4 again and put up a competitive record and not collapse in the playoffs. Here's a look at our team. Regression is hitting. You know, Kenneth Walker regressing. DK Metcalf regressing. Rest of the offense, you know, trending in the right direction, which is good. And there's no reason whatsoever, no excuse whatsoever, this team shouldn't be pushing double-digit wins, a divisional title, hell, even the 1 seed in the NFC. Defensively, we get a couple nice additions here. Callaway's depth. I'm not going to move Peter Woods outside because at the end of the day, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's been leading the team from pass rush at D-tackle. I don't really want to change that up. We have Beal, though, that hopefully will become a very valuable member of our pass rush. Really yet to get big-time sacks from our edge rushers here. It's been all on the D-line. So it'd be cool to see if Beal can buck that trend. I mean, yeah, I don't see a weakness on this team. This is a complete roster. It's year 5 of rebuild. This is usually when we can find a way to win a Super Bowl. However, we have 1 playoff win to this point of the video, so odds are against us. So at the midway point, coming into the bye week, our rankings across the board. I mean, our passing yards could be a little better, but we're 5-1. 1 loss to a very good Bears team. Caleb Williams has been crushing it. He's been flirting with MVP, so they're a problem in the NFC, but feel pretty good. Our big thing is, do we have enough to pay Peter Woods? We should. Boom. More than enough. 5-year. Dunzo. $41 million remaining. Would love to keep Eugene Trey Wilson here. Need a little bit more. $23 million remaining. Tariq Woolen, Kutas, DK. I mean, DK's been automatic 1,000 yards, even with the regression. So I do want to keep DK Metcalf. Did just draft that hidden dev guard, which could replace Kutas, save us a little bit of money on the interior. No one else here's really justified a contract extension. So we'll come back to the table, get Trey Wilson signed, probably still have about $50 million cap remaining, which is similar to where we were last year. Not doom and gloom, not great. At least it's not in the red. And then year number 5, we go 13-4, equaling our record from a year ago. Still, 13-4 sometimes is good enough to get your first round bye. Hasn't been the case with the number 2 rushing offense, top 10 overall offense, top 5 overall defense. We win the NFC West for the 3rd time in 4 years. So that is positive. Kenneth Walker's second in rushing yards. Quinn Ewers has his best season as a passer. 37 touchdowns to 4 picks. Hell yeah. Run game on point. Pass game, no more 2,000-yard receivers. JSN stepped it up a little bit. Trey Wilson, 13 touchdowns. DK is getting older, to put it politely. Schweisinger's continues to be a tackle beast. We got 11 sacks from Murphy, 8 from Morant, 8 from Peter Woods, 5.5 for the rookie Denzel Beal. Dev trait time is superstar. Let's go. We needed that. But even though our team's been very good, something that's been a common denominator, we're not winning player awards. It does not matter. It has zero impact on whether or not these rebuilds are successful or not. Just something that's kind of, again, come back to the point, like, do we have game changers? When you have game changers, they end up winning awards. They end up being the best in the position. We have like a team of really good players who hopefully here in the wildcard round against the 9-8 Green Bay Packers, who are well built, 88 overall, almost a 90 overall offense. All due respect, they're pretty damn good, but we're just a little bit better. Look at that, 24-17 with a Player of the Week performance, the hat trick of sacks from our superstar D lineman Peter Woods. I'm not gonna lie, like, who the hell's the 1 seed? Why are we having to have to like risk going on a run here by playing that game? We got the Eagles in the next round. I'm just curious here. Who's the Bears? 13. So they had the tiebreaker. Okay. Are they still in the playoffs? Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we got to do our part. We got the Philadelphia Eagles at home. The Eagles they've been losing a lot of players in free agency. They've lost Devontae Smith. I've seen them lose Quinyon Mitchell. So a couple dogs, but they're still the Philadelphia Eagles. And as an Eagle fan, but now I just don't do their content. They're becoming very annoying in Madden. Not annoying enough. 27-19, no Player of the Week performance. It was a humble performance, and we get to see right away who the best team is truly in the NFC. We get to meet the Bears. 27-19 over the Philadelphia Eagles. In a game where Quinn Ewers just, played clean football. Jalen Hurts had a turnover, which a lot of times can be the deciding factor. They have this guy, Quinn McFarland. Rookie JSN goes off for us, $130 and a touchdown. Defensively, Jalen Carter was a machine, but we were able to win despite that, and sets us up in our NFC Championship game here in year 5 against a very, very good Chicago Bears team. However, look at the ratings. We are better in every single category. I'm also going to make sure we can have our best foot forward. We got some players here. Whelan, Schweisinger, the nose tackle, Callaway. They're all prepared. They all put a little bit extra juice in practice this week. They want to go to the Super Bowl here in year number 5. What stands between us is a very good Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Yes! Fuck yeah, 31-23. Suck it. Kenneth Walker, $161. 2 touchdowns. And the Chicago Bears, Get the Bengals, I'm not worried about it, but for us, this is the kind of win we need to see. Low scoring, everything happened in the first half. Both quarterbacks, both 2 of the better young quarterbacks in the NFL, they showed out, they protected the football, but there's the decider. They had Ashton Jeanty, we shut his shit down, and they could not contain Kenneth Walker. Defensively, nothing too crazy. Derek Hall got a sack. I mean, we got 2 sacks to none, which for whatever it's worth, is sometimes a difference maker, and the Super Bowl is set between us and the Bengals. Now, how are the Bengals? I mean, they're an interesting team. They're honestly, I've been seeing I read the comments about who the next realistic rebuild should be. A lot of people are saying, do the Bengals. When we're going to get the Bengals? I get that. Kind of similar to Seattle Seahawks, right? Seahawks don't 100% need a rebuild, but they need a rebuild in the sense of like it just feels like there's no hope that they'll get over the hump ever. Right? It's not a completely scrap the franchise, fire sale, turn it over. It's, can I find the missing pieces to have this Seattle team become Super Bowl champions? I think it's the exact kind of same deal with Cincinnati. Yeah, you got Jamar Chase, you got to pay him. What are you going to do with T. Higgins? You lose T. Higgins, and their defense was god-awful last year. So I do think they will be our next rebuild team. I'll tell you right now, if we beat them right now in year 5, I still got like an extra 2 hours before I go get my kid. I'm cashing out early. I was ready to do a 7, take this to 7-year 8 for the Seahawks. If I get this one out now, I'm going to start a Bengals rebuild right away. That should be out by the weekend. But our team has failed to win the big one, this whole rebuild. It's nice that we've gone on a little bit of a run here. A couple of starters get an upgrade ahead of the Super Bowl matchup. But at no point have I felt like we deserve to be Super Bowl champions. We got robbed out of a championship. We've got exactly what we deserve, which has been underperforming. Now that we've got a little bit of momentum here, we are firmly a better team. 5 overall points better / more talented, however you want to phrase that mentally, over the Cincinnati Bengals. So we should comfortably win this game. And if we do, well, Bengals rebuild coming up. If we don't, I don't know what the missing piece is for Seattle, but hopefully we can find it. For Seattle, 2-13-4 seasons. We have been firmly one of the best teams in the NFL. We just need to show up on the biggest moment. We have an interception on the opening drive. Not ideal. But the defense bails us out with a turnover on downs, and the first touchdown goes to Seattle. Cincinnati trades. This should be a high-scoring game. I feel like it will be a very much what we do, they do. And whatever team settles for field goals is probably going to lose. And it's not looking particularly awesome. No. Can we get some magic? No. Multiple just couldn't. We get garbage time to make it 1 score. Okay. And at the end of the day, we got cooked by Joe Burrow. Sometimes you lose those sim games where it's just sim cheese bullshit. You score, they get the instant touchdowns. It was like they're never using timeouts. They get all the bounces. That game there was, they were the better team. They executed. We made the score look closer than what it was. Back to the draw. We're so freaking close. Just gonna find whatever the secret sauce is to get 10% better. I think 10% better Seahawks team wins that Super Bowl. Wins the Super Bowl in year 6. Now, I don't want to limit our scope here a little bit. We'll decline the 5th-year option on Ricardo Jones to just, next year that's coming up. But I don't think we're going to be overly big spenders in free. I think it makes the most sense, honestly. Tariq Woolen will bring him back on a 1-year. We got 15 left. So, we have a replacement for Kutez. Likely he's been replaceable. Julian Love for 1 year. Let's bring it back. A couple rentals. Try and run it back and get this thing over with in year 6. All right, so look at our roster. We have no money because of bringing back our DBs to improve in free agency. So we need to find that hidden piece during the draft. And I am certainly in a I'll trade up if there's someone good. So we could use maybe a more explosive tight end. Davis, who's just been chilling with a depth chart, with a dev trait there, is serviceable in case we can't find a tight end. But if there's one of those crazy, receiving tight ends, we could absolutely go up and improve that way. JSN and Quinn Ewers got superstar dev traits. We still got DK Metcalf there as a role player, but the offense looks ready to go. Slight question mark at tight end, but for the most part, not worried about it. Beal, superstar dev pass rusher, linebacking core on point, safeties on point. DB McDougal gets a dev trait increase on point. Again, we're just BPA, and are we willing to risk it for the biscuit if there's really that S-tier player in the draft of being aggressive and selling off multiple former first? I don't know. Let's look at the draft. For the draft, I took it upon myself to scout who looked like they were the best players in the class, and we got 2 of 3 of them. Choice, the top pass rusher, is only a first-rounder, but we have Christian Strickland, and we got a corner down here in Morris Long. We're thinking long-term. We got Tariq Woolen on a 1-year, so looking at Morris Long, A-zone, B-press, B-man, A-catching, elite speed, ticking a whole lot of boxes there to be an absolute baller. We also have Christian Strickland, who could be a DK Metcalf replacement. 6'4", 235, A-catching, catching traffic, release, deep route running. See, I'm interested here. No, it was... I'm not going to ever cheese the draft at this point. I would pay market value, and it was just multiple first-round picks to trade up with the Titans. Wasn't going to be able to leapfrog the Titans to get the first pick anyways. So, made the most sense to stay put, and... I mean, those are still positions that I think are interesting to explore upgrading. But just not much there at wide receiver. I think corner will have our better luck at finding like a Tariq Woolen replacement. We have a couple dogs here. Jacquez Williams that didn't attend the combine. Those are always fun players to look at. But I'm not gonna lie, I think our board just got absolutely fucked. Jacquez Williams, B-man, B-zone, didn't attend the combine. Doesn't look like he would be testing well off the projected numbers. But ends up being a legitimate pick. Hell yeah. Okay. Cool. Is it the needle mover? Is it the missing piece? Probably not, but still a good pick. In the second round, we're going to overreach here. I'll never not show, though, a juicy nose tackle. And that's what we have here in Hoskins. Big-time bench press. Letter grades look good. Top 10 in true value with another dev trait. Let's go. And for our draft recap, not a bad all in all. We get 74, 76, both dev traits. We get in the third round, Victor Talley, a 73 wide receiver out of Penn State, who is 6'7", and you can't teach that. It's always good getting those streaks. But one thing I have noticed, like if this was 3 Maddens ago, this guy would be like a 99 X Factor potential. If I like the freaky, absurdly built wide receivers, tend to have normal devs. I mean, his combine wasn't insane. Right now you get a 92 agility, 6'7" wide receiver. You know, it is kind of unicornish. Ultimately, a pretty fun class. Hopefully, they bring the vibes because they're going to be backups and they need to motivate the starters to freaking win a Super Bowl here. Just out of curiosity, that DK Metcalf, perfect style wide receiver here, and Christian Strickland, 79 with a dev trade. If I was going to trade up for anybody, would have been him. Don't be an X. I mean, I don't even care. I wasn't going to pay the price. I mean, he's a superstar. If he was an X Factor, I'd be real pissed about it because it would have been worth probably trading multiple picks. But he's just a really good player, not a one of a kind. We are off to an outstanding start here, and I think this win right before the bye week over the Bears, I think it's going to come down to us and them for the top seed in the NFC. We beat them. Hopefully, that'll be a tiebreaker. But starting this thing out, man, elite top 5 offense, top 3 offense, top 3 defense. Let's keep that going. For contracts, $44 million of available salary cap. Okay. We're going to have to be a little picky and choosy. Julian Love, bounce. Knight at 29, probably replaceable. Hall replaceable. Charles Cross, a lot more difficult to replace a tackle. So we'll get Cross locked in on a 3-year deal. And Jones at safety, 4 years. Let's go. If we don't win it all this year, that's going to be a lot of roster turnover, a lot of starters we need to replace. And interview number 6, pretty damn good. We finished with the number 1 offense, top 5 in both categories, top 3 defense, 14-3, the 1 seed, and our 3rd straight NFC West championship. Everything is kind of aligning itself. Kenneth Walker, 3rd in rushing yards. Quinn Ewers, 4th in passing yards, top 5 in touchdowns. He is putting it all together here. What a story from a 3rd round pick. Castaway was supposed to be a top 5 pick. Fell down the rankings. Seattle picks him up, sits behind Geno Smith, and has been everything we needed him to be. Kenneth Walker, beast. We're back to having 2,000-yard receivers, 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns for JSN, almost 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns for Geno Wilson. DK Metcalf, better than he had last year for the ageless. Well, I would say he's aging. He's not ageless, but pretty good. Defensively, Schweisinger, over 100 tackles, 3 picks. We get 12.5 sacks from Peter Woods, 7.5 Byron Murphy, 6.5 Derek Hall, 5.5 from Denzel Beal. Witherspoon leading the team with 4 interceptions. Ooh, could be a rematch against the Bengals. Joe Burrow wins MVP. Mike McDonald gets Coach of the Year award. We also end up with Quarterback of the Year going to Quinn Ewers. And Defensive Back of the Year going to Devin Witherspoon. We also get Kicker of the Year for Mario Peters. Love to see a clutch field goal made here, maybe, as a deciding factor in an overtime win. That'd be cool. Let's write the script. So in the first round, in the divisional round, first round for us, 14-3 against 11-6. Buccaneers who have a top almost 5-ish defense, so it could be an ugly, low-scoring game. But I'd like to think that our number one offense will just steamroll. We have quarterback of the year in Quinn Ewers. Before, it felt like when we had the win, it'd have to be like Kenneth Walker going off or putting up big-time points. We now have the quarterback game, and that's exactly what we get. Look at that, 38-6. Hell yeah, and it could be a freaking collision course with the Bengals again. I'd like to get our, a get back. No other way to put it, man. Anytime you lose a Super Bowl, you have a chance to run it back against the same team. I know it's from a neutral standpoint. Like in real life, when the Eagles took on the Chiefs, you had no real ties to that game outside of just wanting a team to end the Chiefs' ties. You probably would have rather a fresher matchup, something you haven't seen before. But I think in this case, I mean, we can get past Atlanta. They're solid. Bijan's a beast. They got a good run defense, so this game might have to come on the arm of Quinn Ewers if we want to make it back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. And we do. Let's go. 24-12, not a flashy performance, but a hat trick of touchdowns, and Schweisinger gets there. Ooh, did the Bills do the thing? What's the Super Bowl here real quick? Wow. Cincinnati, huh? Too much to run it back again? All right. Well, hey, it's not that much easier. We get Josh Allen now. Quinn Ewers, hat trick of touchdowns, no turnovers, protecting the football. Perfect quarterback rating, 13 of 15. Kenneth Walker did it all at the backfield. From a defensive standpoint, nothing too impressive, which is weird for the low-scoring game. But the Super Bowl is set, back-to-back Super Bowls for Seattle. And looking at the tail of the tape, Buffalo was pretty damn good, man. Anytime, and I always say this, I give full due respect with the sim for a CPU team to get almost 90 overall. Got to be doing something right. Oh, that's why. They added Jahmyr Gibbs in free agency. Okay. Quinn Ewers, Josh Allen. I don't think I've seen the Bills win the Super Bowl yet, so like they're, do or die time. Josh Allen does not have much time left. Look at this boring-ass game. Hey, we'll take the first score. We'll miss the extra point. 6-0. What the fuck is going on here? Touchdown, two-pointer. They score. We punt. I'm sure they're going to score here and make it go to overtime. Yes! Defense! Defense wins championship. You get a defensive head coach, Mike McDonald. 14-7, ain't pretty. Suck it, Josh Allen. Gotta wait another year. I mean, we deserve it. 3-0 playoff run, Super Bowl win. Boom, in the notes. We're dominant. We're the best. 13-4, year 4. 13-4, year 5. 14-3 this year. Consistently getting better. Quinn Ewers elevating his game to another level. And at the end of the day, it's our defense that gets this job done, shutting down Josh Allen, Jahmyr Gibbs, a very explosive Buffalo Bills offense. And there we go. Finally. MVP? Got to be someone on the defense. I mean, Quinn, 2 touchdowns. If it's a low-scoring game, no one else really popped off. Or we could give it to Denzel Beal, our superstar pass rusher. Take your pick. But either way, Super Bowl champions. Let's go. It took us 6 years. But we built an absolute sick team. So what I always like to do at the end of a rebuild is look at what the stats are of the players that we had and featured in the rebuild. And Quinn Ewers ends his career as an X Factor. Just got his X Factor. Peaking at the right time. Just under 21,000 total passing yards. 166 touchdowns and 46 picks. Absolutely excelling as a third-round pick that no one wanted. We're over 10,000 rushing yards, 1 TD short of 100 for Kenneth Walker, who is the most consistent player, I think, in this rebuild. DK Metcalf had over 12,000 yards receiving, 89 touchdowns, 9,300 yards, 73 touchdowns for JSN. Eugene Wilson was a great role player for us. On the defensive side of the ball, Love, we got Knight, we got 51 sacks, Peter Woods, 49.5, Byron Murphy. Like those guys, absolute dogs on that front. 18 picks there. Tariq Woolen, Love, Witherspoon with 11. I will say that's probably my one disappointment is like none of the DBs ever really popped off. And I feel like that talent, that potential is certainly there with Woolen and Witherspoon in particular. But it is what it is, man. That defense, when we needed to, might not be getting box score stats, but they held a very good Bills team to 7 points in a Super Bowl win. That's all you can ask. So that will do it for me here today, guys. Thank you very much for watching a new episode of our Madden 25 Realistic Rebuilds. What I need you to do in return, if it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. But more importantly, if you want to help the channel, all I ask for in return is to help me combat the YouTube robots by leaving a like on the video, leaving a comment in the comment section below about what team you want to see me rebuild next. And for the Realistic Rebuilds, I always ask for also what college player do you think should feature on said rebuild. Don't just give me a team. Give me a team and a player that you really think will be a game changer in that rebuild in the comment section below. But that'll do for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, it's your boy C4. Say peace. I love ya. Have a good one.